BESE approved the state superintendent's appointment of John White as the new superintendent for the Recovery School District.
I would like to ask you instead to move approval of the appointment of John White. John is my recommendation for leading the Recovery School District, both in New Orleans and statewide. I'd like for John to please stand. John is from New York City these days. He is the Deputy Chancellor for Innovation. He has been originally a teacher, originally in Teach for America, later became an executive director for Teach for America, taught in Newark, taught in Chicago, oversaw Teach for America, and coached teachers and mentored teachers in the Teach for America group in Chicago for 5 years. He went over to New York City to work for Joel Klein. He was the Chief Operating Officer there and ultimately the Deputy Chancellor for Innovation. We're very excited about John's interest in coming to Louisiana and particularly in coming to New Orleans for leadership of the Recovery School District there and also for leadership of the Recovery School District elsewhere. We've had an opportunity over the last 3 months to meet in New Orleans, I have, with many members of the New Orleans community, and I've also met around the state with other individuals, including elected officials, community leaders, educators, parents, students, to talk to them about the vision for the Recovery School District, both in New Orleans and statewide. Those meetings, over 30 of them, I personally attended and personally conducted conversation, and in each of those meetings I asked what the preferences were with respect to the superintendent, because the conversation around the vision was, this vision is being prepared so I can find a replacement for Paul Vallis, and that replacement will operate consistent with this vision. And I asked people in all of those meetings, identify people who you think I might consider. Tell me the characteristics that you think I should consider. It was a very, very productive conversation. Now that all came to a head when we met in New Orleans about 3 weeks ago when the Recovery School District Committee met, and we once again presented the vision statement. We published it on the web. We've asked for comments, and we presented it again in the context of, this is our vision for the Recovery School District, and we would like for you to tell us what you think about it, and we want you to understand that we're bringing this vision forward to you for the purpose of using it as the tool or the lens through which we would make a decision about a superintendent. Finally, I'd like to say that John is probably one of the most respected reformers in the country, working for Joel Klein, who is probably the most respected reformer in the country. Joel ran the City of New York schools for 8 years, and recognizing that the model that Joel used in New York and the model which John has implemented in New York is the most analogous model to the one that we're using in the Recovery School District. So as I told people when I met with them for 3 months since January and talking about what the kind of person that I was looking for in a superintendent, I told them that I wanted to have someone who had tremendous experience in actually implementing a vision like we had for the Recovery School District. There are a handful of places where this work is going on: New Orleans, Denver, Baltimore, New York, Washington, D.C. I've been to all of those places and interviewed people in all of those places, including New Orleans and Louisiana. I've probably met with or reviewed resumes of probably 80 people. I conducted this search personally. I did it myself, met with these people myself, marched around the country, marched down to New Orleans. Actually, some of the people I considered are people who work in the Recovery School District. People I considered include people who work in schools and in the community in the city of New Orleans and outside of New Orleans in the state of Louisiana. It was an exhausting process because I began this back in September. I wasn't really sure what I had until last week, and it wasn't until Friday that I had the temerity to put on the agenda an item for this to be discussed, because this is a very competitive environment to find people like John. John is in demand in more than one place, as are his colleagues. And I've talked to a number of people around the country about this challenge of trying to find high-quality people. At the end of the day, among those people available, I picked, I believe, the highest quality person, the person I think can most do this job. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to take John to meet with a number of the people that I had been meeting with for the last 3 months. We had lunch yesterday with about 25 leading African-American members of the New Orleans community. Later in the day, we met with another host of people who are actually doing the education work in New Orleans. We went to a couple of schools. Last night, we had dinner with elected officials. And I will tell you that I thought that the response was very, very favorable. A lot of support, a lot of people expressing support. It was very encouraging. And I know that there will be challenges ahead. I know that there will be concerns expressed about one thing or another, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud of the process that we've gone through. I'm very proud of the outcome of the process. And I would like to recommend your approval of John White to lead the Recovery School District. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Ms. Buquet.
It is with great pleasure that, is this on? It is with great pleasure that I move to approve the State Superintendent's appointment of John White as the Superintendent of the Recovery School District.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Thank you to other board members, Ms. Givens, for your comments as well, and Mr. Superintendent. I will just say briefly that this is an extraordinary privilege, primarily for two reasons. One, because for those of us who have not been educating in Louisiana recently, Louisiana and New Orleans have been beacons for those of us who have dedicated our lives to children, especially children whose educational welfare has not been well served across this country. And what you have accomplished here is nothing short of extraordinary, and it's a privilege to be a part of it in any way. Second, because the privilege of serving children is a universal privilege, and that you have asked me to be a part of serving our children in Louisiana and in New Orleans is the privilege of a lifetime. Your vision of a system of excellent schools that ensure college and career readiness for every child is inspiring. Ms. Givens, to the question of the plans, I look forward to many, many conversations with respect to developing those plans with the community in New Orleans, with the broader community of educators, parents, students, teachers in Louisiana. And I'm very appreciative of your warm welcome, and thank you for your confidence this morning.
I am just glad that it is done. It has been a very lengthy, arduous process to both define the vision of the RSD where it is now, because we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go. So not only define the vision, but then and try to consider who that person, what type of person could bring the RSD to the next level, and then to identify, recruit, and attract and hire someone. So I will tell you, it's been a long, tough process for the state superintendent, and I think he's made an excellent choice.